big fight coming up at Mohegan Sun, June 14th. And not only is it this big fight at Mohegan Sun, but this will be your first time back in New England in over a decade. That's amazing.
Right.
So, first things first, how are you feeling heading into this matchup on June 14th?
Actually, I feel really good. Only thing that's kind of being a pain in the ass is the weight cut. Different states require different caps for heavyweight, and ever since I fought Greg Hardy, I had to gain weight for that fight because he was coming in. It was a catch weight of 295, and he was coming in at well over 300 pounds. So I had to gain weight for the commission to sign off on it. And ever since I've done that, I've been heavier. And this is the first time having to make 265 cents. And, as older you get, the harder it is to drop that weight.
Absolutely. Well, the dedication there in itself is incredible. So I have no doubt it's going to be an amazing time. Now, of course, we mentioned this is your first time in New England since 2013. I'm curious, what does it mean to you to be fighting so close to home again?
It means a lot. Like I've been asking for this from the BKFC for forever. I've been asking ever since I had my win. I couldn't ask anything after my first fight was a loss. After that second fight when I won, I just was like, all right, cool, let's get the ball rolling and have a fight in my backyard, and I'll show you guys how to sell some tickets. I think they're seeing that already.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's about damn time. So that's amazing.
Right.
Happy to have you back here in New England. Now, your nickname is Stay Down, Josh Stay Down Watson. Good
Right.
reason, I know, but I was hoping you could talk a bit about where that name came from and is that, yes, it's on the nuts and everything. Where that came from and how much is that a part of your mindset kind of going into a fight?
I mean, realistically, the I had the tattoos before I decided that was going to be my nickname.
Yeah.
Kind of the nickname kind of fell into the tattoo. So it's not really much of a long thing. A lot of my people ask, like tattoos telling stories, this. Most of my tattoos are pretty just not generic, but in the sense of like I felt like getting it at that time. It was a good, decision for me then, so I just did it. Uh, and that was around the time when when I was starting to fight and do stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna, like stay down. Like that to me, like is a very, it's a solid message.
Yeah.
That one, like another fight related one I have around my collar, Sangre de mis manos, which is blood of my hands. Stuff like that. It kind of that's I don't know. It's part of my story, I guess you want to say.
Yeah.
And since the stay down thing happened, and we've been waiting for that moment in a fight for me to be able to, do the whole like put the hands up and do the whole stay down. And it was funny because the picture I have on my Instagram, I don't know if you noticed, I have that one as one of my tagged photo or my pinned photos. It was right after the fight, and that came out. My coach sends a message out on his Facebook, being like, "Who can do some Photoshop for us?" What you don't know is Dan Mergliotta is standing like right in the center of that picture, and they completely cut him out and did a good job, made it look like he didn't even exist in that photo. And I've actually been waiting. I've been supposed to do it. I want to do like a big stretched like 18 by like 3 foot like long photo of that to that would be a pretty cool one to put on the wall.
Absolutely. I feel like you kind of manifested it with the tattoo. That's
Right.
fantastic. And
Exactly.
I know when people go against you, they do tend to stay down. I hear your fights don't really last very long. Is that right, Josh?
Yeah, it's live by the sword, die by the sword, either knock out or get knocked out. It's kind of the story that it's been. I've
Yeah.
only made it to the second round officially 3 times, 4 times. But the first time I made it was in an MMA. It was an amateur fight. That was a 3 minute round, in one MMA fight that was a 4 minute round, and then the other MMA fight that was a 5 minute round. Other than those three, I made it to the second round with Greg Hardy. So, my last fight was a minute 42. I think McElroy was in the minute 40 time range, and then my loss was under a minute. So, the last time I fought in Portland, that was a minute 52, and yeah.
That's crazy. That's amazing, Josh. As you mentioned, you did start your career in MMA. Now you've made a big name for yourself with the BKFC. I'm curious what drew you to bare knuckle fighting?
The I don't want to say the old age, but the old age, the aches and the pains. I stopped, like as you mentioned, I haven't fought. I haven't. Well, side note too, I haven't fought in Maine in over a decade. That was my last MMA fight.
Hmm.
Um, just the aches and the pains, being able to train and do I can grapple, I can go in, I can do a jiu-jitsu class. That's fine, but it's the transitioning. It's from standing to the ground. It's that wrestling. I can get away with maybe doing it one time a week or one time here and there, but doing it consistently 5, 6 days a week, my back won't hold up for that. My knees won't like it. So doing that was becoming a problem. Anybody who's ever known me to fall out of a fight, it's because of injuries. I had that fight with Ben Rothwell signed, and I had to pull out because I hurt my back. So having to do less required training
Hmm.
kind of pushed me towards it. Uh, but it just not that it pushed me toward it because I was already, a quote unquote retired. I really wasn't doing anything. It's just I saw it and I was like, this looks exciting. This looks fun. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I can throw hands. I can, as long as my shoulders and my elbows and my hands stay healthy, I should be able to do this. Do I still hurt my back? Yes. Like I said, I, had to leave that fight, but I I can bounce back quicker,
Yeah.
and then the other thing, like people, it came up. It came up, I think, almost 2 years ago when I got like a super short notice, like 1 week notice, possible fight out in Russia, and it was an MMA fight.
Mhm.
It was like a month after the war started and everything,
Ooh. Okay.
and I was like, and the pay on it was ridiculous, ridiculously good. So I
Hmm.
was like, screw it, yeah, put my name in the hat. Like I'll take that. I don't care about flying into Russia. I don't
I
care,
love it.
but like the funny part, but that made me come up with the conversation topic. If you were to tell me or ask me to fight somebody MMA with 1 week notice, I would say, okay, cool, let's do it. If you asked me to fight that exact same person and give me 8 weeks to prepare for it, I'd say no. Because in
Interesting.
8 weeks, I'm going to get hurt 2 or 3 times.
Mhm.
My body's going to turn to like complete trash. And I know, like, quote unquote, coming off of the couch and not being like, having all these sorenesses and just kind of being fresh. And sure, I'd have like no gas tank. Um, but I'd be more willing to fight that person then than I would 8 weeks of torture and 8 weeks of like killing myself. And at the end of the day, maybe not even being able to fight because I got hurt or something. So I wasn't, I'm not down for that. So I'd much rather take a fight on 1 week notice than 8 weeks.
I love that attitude. And that
It's a-
completely makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Totally.
But
Now,
also on top of that though, like for the most part, like fighting and stuff like that's a young kid's, I say kid, but it's a young man's game.
sure.
Uh, the new the new quota is always be ready. There's just
Always be
everything.
ready.
Always be ready. Always be ready. I think that kind of came from like the Ultimate Fighter. Like Dana tried to be, always be ready. You never know when something's going to change, and they just flip something on you, or you've lost, and like all of a sudden that person becomes like an alcoholic in the house,
Mhm.
and then they're like, "Hey, so and so got hurt. You're back in. Always be ready."
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry, but nah, my old ass is not always ready. Like that's not happening. Like when I don't have a fight, I don't do shit.
Good for you.
I enjoy my life.
Yeah.
I hang out. I have work. Like again, that always be ready thing. That's for a person that doesn't have a mortgage. That's for a
Right.
person that doesn't have a serious job and real
Mhm.
bills.
Yes.
When I got that phone call for Greg Hardy, I was it was a 4 week, 4.5 week notice.
Yep.
And I literally came off of the couch. I'm from doing absolutely nothing other than like a jujitsu class or here once or twice a week to going into full on camp.
Wow.
And I mean, same thing can be said, like if I like now that was supposed to like, it was supposed to skyrocket my career and make everything like amazing afterwards. But, I didn't get the phone call for another 18 months for another fight.
Wow.
So am I gonna sit here and train and train and train and train for 18 months and
Crazy.
all the injuries and stuff like that? Hell no. Like that just kind of proves that I'm like, no, I'm not holding my breath and waiting for something to happen. I'm just gonna, enjoy my life because we getting old.
Yeah, as you absolutely should. We are getting older, Josh, ain't no doubt. Now, you talked a bit about your MMA career. I'm wondering, do you have any memories or moments from your time in Portland that you've always taken with you and it's just like continued to help you with this?
I mean, some of my favorite memories is the fight in Portland that I did have because I essentially by myself sold that place out.
Amazing.
And that was like one of the. I mean, I always knew I had a bunch of fans. I always knew that stuff like that. But that was like one of the biggest eye-opening ones because I was now living in Vegas, and and for to come home and to have that sort of a welcome, like just different thing. Like when I got that knockout, I want to say like like around the ring you have four wall
Mhm.
barricades from seating. I sold three sides of the four, all of them.
Wow.
And when the fight ended, my friends like not intentionally like pushed it over, but like from excitement, like two or three sides of it collapsed. And
Wow.
like everybody was like everywhere. It was like mayhem. And then the biggest thing I remember because it was at the Portland Expo.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
were coming out, and as we were like going down like the aisleway to get out back, we were kind of like hustling because like it was almost like a wave of people like coming down the stadium the stands, and just everybody was like converging on like a humongous like wave, and it was crazy. It was awesome. It was like the best feeling. When you start fighting. My first fight, I won. It was awesome. It was funny because like I won, and while it's like wrapping up, I'm in the corner with my coach Jay, and I'm just bouncing. And he just puts his hands on my shoulders, like, "Hey, no one else is coming. We're done.
Yep.
It's over." And I'm like, "No, I want to keep going." I'm like, "Bring somebody
Oh,
else out of here. Like, I want to just keep going."
yes.
And then out back, he was saying, like, don't chase the dragon. He's like, it'll never feel like this again. It'll
Oh,
never, he's like, you'll have a few moments here and there that might come close to it, but don't chase that feeling because you're not gonna, he's like, it's like heroin. You're never gonna feel it like the first time. But closest time to it though was the fight in Portland, and then the victory against Greg Hardy. Those were like the two other high points of emotion.
That's incredible. And I feel like it means we just got to get you back in Portland here soon again, Josh. Connecticut's
Um,
cool, but
Connecticut is cool. I don't know how it is with sanctioning. It's weird. Like there's so many sanctioned states that you can just literally go, "Hey, here's all the rules set. Do we want it? Do we not want it?" Like there's not really. It's pretty cookie cutter now. But some states just aren't on board with it. Um, it's weird. Like they've been talking about it now for over 2 years, and it's just hasn't moved
yeah.
to the same degree. It's not sanctioned here in Vegas either,
Mhm.
but that's that's more of a political thing being blocked by other people
Got it.
for being competition. So that's kind of getting blocked out. But no, I would love to fight in Maine. I think what's the Civic Center's new name?
Cross
What
Insurance Arena.
Yeah, like
Yep.
that thing, sell that bitch out.
Yes. Yes. I'm manifesting that. I would love that.
And not to mention, it sucks because Chris Sorrow had like kind of like an outing between BKFC. He was in it, and he just kind of there was some drama and stuff like that. It sucks because there is a handful of people in New England that have fought, and so like he would have been somebody that could be on the card. I think there's two other people in Maine that have fought that would be able to
Mhm.
secure a spot on the card, and
Yes.
we know I'd sell a whole lot of tickets. They wouldn't have to worry about it. I'll sell that thing out. So the tickets are secure, being sold.
Absolutely. There it is. Well, I can't wait for the day to come because I feel like it's going to come one of these days. But
Me too. Me
in
too.
the
Sorry.
Oh, you're good, Josh. In the meantime, so excited for this match coming up at Mohegan Sun June 14th. What is the best way for us here in Maine to watch and cheer you on? Can we stream it? Can people still buy tickets?
Tickets are still on sale. I say either get a hold of me between Facebook or Instagram
Perfect.
because I get credit for ticket sales.
Awesome.
If you sell it or if you buy the ticket, and I get a percentage of the sale. Um, if you can't physically make it, or if you're outside of Maine, or or too far north in Maine, you can't make it. There's a BKFC app. Again, if you try to get a hold of me through Facebook or Instagram, I have a link, and you click on it. It takes you straight to the App Store. And if you click on that and purchase the app, again, I get credit for it. So it's the biggest step is either getting me like finding me on Facebook is one thing, adding me is another. I'm capped out. I think I got like maybe 10 spaces left. So I have a few hundred people in my uh, friend request thing
In
that I'm like,
limbo.
yeah, like I say it right across the top of my Facebook. I'm like, I can't accept nobody else. I'm
Okay.
like, follow my fan page, which to be honest, I'm not that active on. But my Instagram is the best way. But I know not everybody has Instagram, so you can. There's still the option, though, I believe, on my Facebook just to follow me because I have a handful of people that follow me. We're just not, that quote unquote friends.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely.
Question is, can you hear that sound?
No.
No, okay, because somebody's using like a chainsaw or something, or
Oh.
a, a weed whacker, some sort of thing outside, and I just want to make sure it wasn't, interfering.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Josh. No, I can't hear it. And I only got one more
Okay, cool.
question for you anyway. The
Okay.
final, last but certainly not least, here in
Yep.
Maine, our state motto is the way life should be. So I would love
Way
to
less
know,
should be.
yes, I would love to know, according to you, what is the way life should be?
Don't stress. Don't over stress over crap. Like that's the way life should be. Live life easy. Don't overly put pressure onto crap, and you know
Yeah.
the more you stress, if it's something that you're stressing over, stressing on it doesn't make it better.
Mhm.
Like just let shit roll. That's the way life should be. Like
I
you
love it.
shouldn't have to be overly stressed over something, especially if it's something you don't have control over.
Absolutely. Just let it roll. Couldn't have said it better
Right.
myself.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me
You're
today.
welcome.
We're so excited to cheer you on from here in Maine, whether it's streaming or people who coming down to Connecticut on June 14th. We are rooting for you.
Thank you. Can I shout out a few sponsors, especially the fact that it's in Maine? I have a handful of people from Maine that have helped me. Luxury Vapes in Westbrook, they've helped me out. What else? Vertex Home Visions, they're in Maine. Long Drink, and where is it? Where to go? Maine Tree Brand, Trees Brand, Maine. Yeah, well, those guys, specifically, I got a bunch more sponsors, but like Maine-based companies that, oh yeah, and Athlete Armor. Those ones, majority of my sponsors are coming from Maine, and I appreciate that because it helps me do what I need to do to get ready for a fight, but it helps with return on investment. There's been a handful of people that have like reached out that are West Coast based,
Mhm.
and I've been like, let's just wait. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not going to be able to. You're going to give me money, and I'm not going to be able to ensure that you're going to get the business back. That's going to, balance this out. I'd much rather fight on the West Coast and have something for you.
totally. Totally. Well,
Yeah,
you obviously have real support over here in Maine. So that's a
really.
beautiful thing. I love it. Big shout out to all of your sponsors. And we're true believers over here, Josh.